So today our focus is going to be on building fluency with multiplying multi-digit numbers. So we're looking specifically at 3-digit numbers by 2-digit numbers, and we're going to be building that fluency by multiplying across zeros using the standard algorithm. So the first problem that I have that we're going to take a look at is we're going to take a look at 208 multiplied by 31. So if I do 208 multiplied by 31, my first step I'm going to need to do is estimate. So my estimation, I'm going to do about 200 times 30. Again, I can take off my zeros, so I can just do 2 times 3, which is going to be 6, and then put my 3 zeros back on. So my answer should be somewhere around 6,000. Then I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to multiply 1 times 8, which is going to be 8. Now here, when I multiply by 0, I still need to make sure that I multiply by 0. Gives me a product of 0. So I'm multiplying by that placeholder. So 0 times 1 is going to be 0, and then 1 times 2 is going to be 2. My next step is going to be to put my placeholder, because I'm now multiplying by the next place value. And anytime I multiply by the next place value, I always put a 0. Okay, then I'm going to do 3 times 8, which is 24. So I'm going to put down the 4. I'm going to regroup the 2. Again, multiply by 0 as a placeholder. So 3 times 0 is 0. Add that to 2. I get 2. And then 3 times 2 is going to be 6. When I add those together, I get 8, 4, 4, 6, 6,488. My answer is near my estimate of 6,000, so my answer is reasonable. Okay. Now, if we take a look at this problem, it says, suppose a train fills an average of 102 seats for each tour, and we're looking at 31 tours. Oh, no, we're not. What is the reasonable estimate for the number of passengers that the train can carry in 28 tours? Write an equation to show your work. So this one says reasonable estimate. So I'm not looking for my answer, so I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do 102 multiplied by 28, find my answer, and then estimate. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to round. So 102 is going to be near, remember this means approximately, 100. And 28 is going to be approximately 30. Or what I can do that I like better is I'm going to do 102 multiplied by 28. Well, the minute that I turned this into 100, I'm now multiplying by a place value. And because I'm multiplying by a place value, I'm going to keep 28 by itself. And now I'm multiplying 28 times 100, which would be 2,800 passengers. That's a reasonable estimate. So my equation would be 100 times 28 to get 2,800. Okay. So I'm now in your guided practice on page 123. So the first problem says, in an auditorium, there are 104 rows with 24 seats in each row. How many rows are available? So we're going to do 104 multiplied by 24. Do my estimate. So 104, that's going to be near 100. And I'm going to leave 24 alone. So that's going to give me an answer of around 2,400 is what I'm looking for to be a reasonable answer. So 4 times 4 is going to be 16. I'm going to put down the 6, regroup the 1. Again, because I'm multiplying a 0. That's going to be 4 times 0, which is anything times 0 is 0. Add 1, so it's 16. 4 times 1 is going to be 4. And then I put my placeholder because I'm now multiplying by the next place value. 2 times 4 is going to be 8. 2 times 0 is going to be 0. And then 2 times 1 is going to be 2. I'm going to add those together and see if my answer is reasonable, if it's near my estimate. So I have 6. 1 and 8 is 9. 4 and 0 is 4. 2. So my answer is 2,496. It's very close to 2,400. I have a very reasonable answer, so I should be good. So the next question is, why is it important? So I'm going to leave this up here. Why is it important to check an estimate for reasonableness? So it's telling me why I estimate and then do that comparison is it tells me that the answer makes sense. Because let's say that I had 2,400 as my answer, but for some reason I got 24,960. When I do that comparison, that tells me, ooh, somewhere I made an error. So the point of estimating is to make sure that the answer makes sense. It's close to that original, your product is close to that estimate. Okay. All right, number 3. I'm going to just do color swap here just to get something different on the screen. 205 multiplied by 23. Again, just going to go through building that fluency with that algorithm. So first step is to multiply the ones place. 3 times 5 is 15. So I put down the 5. I regroup the 1. 3 times 0 is 0. Plus 1 is going to be 1. And then 3 times 2 is going to be 6. I'm going to put down my 0. 2 times 5 is going to be 10. So I'm going to put down my 0, regroup the 1. It lucked out that I didn't cross that off. I can use it. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is going to be 1. And then 2 times 2 is going to be 4. Add those together. I get 5 and 0 is 5. 1 and 0 is 1. 6 and 1 is 7. And then 4. So I have 4,715. Now, I did not do my estimation here to check my reasonableness, so I need to make sure that I do that step first. So I'm going to do 200, and I'm going to multiply that. I'm actually going to use 25 as a reasonable number just to see, because 23 is near 25. So 2 times 25 is going to be 50. And then I put my 2 zeros back on. So I have 5,000. 4,715 is near 5,000. It's a reasonable estimate. Okay, number 4, 108 multiplied by 14. So 108, I'm actually going to round to 100. And I'm going to multiply 14, or not multiply, I'm going to round 14 to 15. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I rounded down by 10, so I want a little bit higher estimate. So 15 times 100 is going to be 1,500. My answer should be near 1,500. 4 times 8 is going to be 32. I put down the 2. I regroup the 3. 4 times 0 is going to be 0, plus 3 is going to be 3. 4 times 1 is going to be 4. So now I do my next step, which is to place my placeholder. I'm going to cross off my 3. 1 times 8 is going to be 8. 1 times 0 is 0. And then 1 times 1 is going to be 1. I'm going to put those together and see what I get. So I have 2. 4 plus 3 is 11. Regroup. 1 and 4 is 5. And 1. So my answer is going to be 1,512, which is near 1,500. My answer is reasonable. Next problem. So here's what's nice about this problem. So I have 410 multiplied by 44. So I'm going to show you guys a little trick here. I'm actually going to ignore this 0 for right now. So I'm just going to cross it off, and I'm going to make this problem 41 times 44. So I'm going to save myself a step of having to multiply with those zeros. So when zeros are on the end like that, I can just drop the 0 off and then add it back on using that multiple of 10 rule. So 4 times 1 is going to be 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Put down my 0. Now, because I'm multiplying by the same digits, my numbers are going to be the same. Watch. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. The only thing that is different is that placeholder, because instead of multiplying by a value of 4 in the ones place, I'm now multiplying by a value of 40 in the tens place. Add those together. 4, 10, 1 and 6. Oh no, I'm sorry. 1 and 1 is going to be 2. Cross off that 1. 6, 1. And then I need to make sure that I put back on my 0. So I have 1,006. Ooh, that does not look like a reasonable answer. So let me go back and look at that problem again. And this time I'm not going to take the 0 off, just to make sure. So first thing I need to do is I forgot to do my reasonable answer. So I'm going to do 410. I'm going to multiply that by 44. So this is going to be 400. This is going to be 50 because it's nice and easy. So my answer is going to be near 20,000. Okay, let's try this again. Let's not take off that 0 this time. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 4. So there's my 4 and then 16 because I did 4 times 4 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Now I'm going to put my placeholder. This looks better. And then I'm going to do 4 times 0, which is 0. 4 times 1 is going to be 4, and then 4 times 4 is going to be 16. That looks much better in terms of my lining up. So I have 0, 4 and 0 is 4, 6 and 4 is 10, so I'm going to regroup a 1 there. 1 and 1 is 2, plus 6 is going to be 8, and then I don't have anything to add to that 1, so my answer is 18,040. That's much better. So ignore what I said initially. Let's just leave that 0 on there. That way you guys are getting that practice. Next problem that I have is I have 302 multiplied by 30. Now this one, for sure, I'm going to have you guys take off that 0. In fact, what I'm going to have you guys do is I'm going to have you guys just go ahead and put the 0 down under your product because everything in that row is going to be a 0. So I'm going to put my placeholder here to multiply by the tens place value. So I'm just going to drop that 0 and then multiply everything times 3. So let's do my estimation to see and show you why this works. 302, that's around 300. So I'm going to do 300 times 30, which is going to be an estimate of 9,000. Okay, so my answer should be near 9,000. 3 times 2 is going to be 6. 3 times 0 is going to be 0. 3 times 3 is going to be 9. So on this problem, it worked out with me dropping the 0 because I'm multiplying by a multiple of 10. That other problem was a little funky because, yes, it was multiple of 10, but the zeros didn't quite line up. But when you have a 2-digit number and you have a 0 at the end of it, go ahead and drop the place value, and then you'll be set and you can just multiply by the tens place. Okay, so you are going to be working on building fluency today by multiplying 3-digit by 2-digit numbers by multiplying across a 0 using the algorithm.